In the world of television, representation matters. We often turn to our favorite shows not just for entertainment, but for a sense of connection, understanding, and sometimes escape. But what happens when that connection becomes distorted? What if a show you loved portrayed your life in a way that felt entirely wrong? Meet a man named David. David was an avid viewer of a popular sitcom that aired for several seasons. It was a show that on the surface seemed to be all about fun, laughter, and quirky characters. However, as David watched the show unfold, he began to feel a growing sense of unease. The characters, who were supposed to represent people from his community, were depicted in a way that he found offensive and reductive. As the weeks went by, David's frustration turned into a determination to take action. Can you believe this actually happened? Yes, David decided to sue the show for bad representation. This was not just about a few jokes or stereotypes, it was about how people like him were portrayed to millions of viewers. David's journey began when he started gathering evidence. He meticulously recorded episodes, taking notes on the moments he found particularly problematic. He highlighted jokes that felt too close to home, stereotypes that painted people in his community as one-dimensional characters. With each episode, his resolve strengthened. He was not just fighting for himself, he was fighting for everyone who had ever felt misrepresented on screen. But what exactly does it mean to misrepresent a community? Representation in media shapes perceptions. It can influence how people see themselves and how they are seen by others. David believed that the show perpetuated harmful stereotypes that contributed to real-world misunderstandings and prejudice. As he prepared for his legal battle, David faced numerous challenges. The first hurdle was finding a lawyer willing to take on his case. Many legal professionals dismissed his concerns, believing that a lawsuit over bad representation was futile. They argued that television is a form of artistic expression, and creators should have the freedom to portray characters in any way they choose. David didn't give up. He reached out to advocacy groups that focused on media representation. He found a lawyer who understood his perspective and was passionate about fighting for justice. Together, they built a case that highlighted the importance of accurate representation in media. Now let's pause for a moment to consider the implications of David's case. If he succeeded, it could set a precedent for others who felt they were misrepresented. It could empower more people to speak out against negative portrayals in media, but if he failed, it could discourage future attempts to challenge harmful narratives. As the court date approached, the media caught wind of David's story. A local news outlet ran a feature about his case, painting him as a hero fighting against a giant. The show's producers, however, were not pleased. They released a statement claiming that their intention was never to offend and that their characters were meant to be exaggerated for comedic effect. This sparked a heated debate online. Supporters rallied behind David, sharing their own stories of misrepresentation. They argued that while comedy often pushes boundaries, it should never come at the expense of accuracy and respect. Critics, on the other hand, claimed that David was being overly sensitive and that comedy inherently involves exaggeration. As the court case began, the atmosphere was electric. David stood before the judge, ready to present his argument. With every word, he emphasized the emotional toll that misrepresentation can have on individuals and communities. He spoke about how laughter should not come at the cost of dignity and integrity. The producers hired a high-powered legal team to defend their show. They argued that David was misunderstanding the essence of comedy. They presented evidence from other viewers who claimed to appreciate the humor and relatability of the characters. The courtroom was tense, as both sides passionately defended their viewpoints. During the proceedings, David was given the opportunity to share his story. He spoke about his upbringing, the challenges he faced, and how the show's portrayal of his community affected him personally. He paused, allowing the weight of his words to sink in. It was an emotional moment, one that resonated not just with the judge but also with everyone present. As the trial progressed, it became clear that this case was about more than just a sitcom. It was a reflection of society's broader struggles with representation and identity. David's fight was emblematic of a growing movement advocating for authenticity in media. But then a surprising twist unfolded. A character from the show, one of the main actors, decided to stand up and testify. They expressed their remorse over the impact the show had on viewers like David. This moment shifted the tone of the trial. Suddenly, it was not just about legal arguments. It became a deeply human conversation about empathy and understanding. Can you believe this actually happened? Yes. The actor's testimony brought tears to the eyes of many in the courtroom. It was a reminder that behind every character, there are real people who consume the content and feel its effects. After days of intense deliberation, the court finally reached a decision. David held his breath as the verdict was read. The judge ruled in favor of the show, stating that while David's concerns were valid, they did not constitute a legal basis for a lawsuit. The courtroom erupted in mixed reactions. Some cheered for the freedom of expression, while others felt a deep sense of disappointment. Despite the setback, David was not defeated. He recognized the importance of his fight and the conversations it sparked. The case had brought attention to a critical issue, and he vowed to continue advocating for better representation in media. In the aftermath, David became a sought-after speaker on the topic of representation in television. He shared his experiences at universities, conferences, and in media interviews. His story inspired countless others to speak up about their own experiences with misrepresentation. The impact of David's case extended beyond the courtroom. It ignited discussions about the responsibilities of creators in portraying diverse communities. Many shows began to take notice, hiring consultants and involving individuals from the communities they portrayed to ensure authenticity. David's journey also highlighted the power of grassroots movements. Social media played a crucial role in amplifying his voice and connecting him with supporters. Hashtags like Representation Matters and #Authentic Voices gained traction, creating a community of individuals who were passionate about holding media accountable. In reflecting on his experience, David emphasized the importance of empathy in storytelling. He believed that creators must strive to understand the lives of the characters they portray. Misrepresentation can have lasting effects, but accurate representation can empower and uplift. As we conclude this journey through David's incredible story, we are left with a vital question. What would you do in this situation? Would you stand up and fight for your voice to be heard? The story of the man who tried to sue a TV show for bad representation serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of representation in media. It challenges us to consider the narratives we consume and the impact they have on our perceptions. Ultimately, we all have a role to play in advocating for authenticity and respect in storytelling. So the next time you tune into your favorite show, take a moment to reflect on the characters and their journeys. Are they true to life? Do they resonate with your experience? And remember, your voice matters. Together, we can strive for a media landscape that reflects the richness and diversity of our world. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of representation in television.